What is going on, you all? Thank you so much for clicking on the video. Listen, child, hush up all that noise, child. Um, let's talk Netflix series, Bridgerton. You know what? It took me forever. It took me forever. I don't know why it took me so long to actually get to Bridgerton, um, because it's everything that I like. Like, really, it is. It's fashion. It's salacious. It's drama. It literally is like watching Peyton Place set in the 1800s. That's exactly what it reminds. I got my notes because we're gonna do. I'm gonna kind of run over, some of the things that stuck out for me in the first season. I didn't go episode by episode. I watched the whole season between yesterday and today. So it really is a good series. Um, really good, child. Some of these characters, baby. Listen, that queen, the queen, honey, the queen of England, she is a hot mess. But look, let me just run through real fast the background of the damn thing. If you haven't watched it, you might want to click off because there's definitely going to be spoilers. There's definitely going to be spoilers, but this is season one. This was shot back in 2020. So, anyway, so Bridgerton. That's actually a family name. There's a family of Bridgertons. There's the mother, the father is actually passed away, and they are comfortable. They're comfortable. They got money, child. They're comfortable. So it's the mother. She has three sons. She got three sons, three older sons, and then there's two daughters, and then she had little ones. Like she started all over. So she got a boy and a girl. So total, there's four boys, three girls. Um, yeah, four boys, three girls. And child, they're kind of going through the whole thing of basically having your daughter married off. That's kind of what it actually bases around when the season comes for promenade and basically sending your daughters off with their dowry and marrying them off. So, real interesting. But you got them. So you got the Bridgertons. Then you also have what's going on, Jay Wilson. You said, baby, Lady Whistledown. Okay, listen. Lady Whistledown is like us. She's one of, well, not so much like, yeah, she's pretty much a vlogger, but she's behind a screen and nobody knows who she is pretty much. She does like a rag sheet and nobody knows exactly who she is. And she is who is literally narrating this whole story for us. It literally, the way it's written and the way that it's presented, it really reminds me of Desperate Housewives. So like everything about it, like the candor of it, the underlying joke of it all, is very, very Desperate Housewives. And that's what like drew me in because I loved Desperate Housewives. Let's see, the other family that you hear a lot of is the Feathertons. Uh, they're all right money wise, but they have a whole feel of fake it till you make it kind of thing. And what you figure out later is that uh, Lord Featherton is a gambler and not a good gambler. Okay, so they're in a constant state of faking it till you make it, and they don't even really realize that they're actually faking it. But the daughters are not cute. The daughters ain't cute. Actually, the cute one is the one they don't pay attention to. She's heavy set, but she actually is not bad looking. But them other two sisters, because there's three of them, them other two sisters is just as tired, child. They look like Cinderella's old mean sisters. Then they have a cousin who has come in who is actually the niece of Lord Featherton. And she didn't got herself pregnant. So basically her father called in a favor that Lord Featherton owed, and they send her on down there. You know, back in the day, they do that, baby. You run around here pregnant without no husband. No. You're not going to bring shame to the family. They send her away. So they send her on to London to her uncle. And, of course, Lady Featherton is not very nice to her, but she ain't showing her anything yet. So their thing is, you know, get her married or just do something with her. She bringing shame to the family down there. And Lord Featherton owed a favor, so he was stuck with her. We have one of the people that's my favorite is Madame Genevieve Delacroix, honey. She is the modeste. She runs the modeste. She is like the fashion designer for all these folks. She makes all these dresses and that, but she's right in the thick of everything. So, you know, she hears and sees everything. Back then, it wasn't really so much as hairdressers. They hear and see everything too, but just in the families that they work for. You got your hair and stuff done at home back then. You can go to the actual beauty parlor. Then there's this diva. Her name is Sienna. Sienna, she plays a major part. She is the mistress of Anthony Bridgerton. So you see a lot of her. She's sings opera, she works at the theater, and she whores on the side. Okay, so she not just his, but she's a whore. Okay. Who else? We got the Duke, which is Simon Bassett is the Duke, and he is actually friends with Anthony, and he plays all major role. We got his whole story. He is a child whose mother died during childbirth. She died during childbirth. After she delivered, she bled out. And then his father, who was the Duke, his father was a bastard. His father, he was just mean with his ugly self. He was just mean, and he had a speech impediment. And the father just, you know, that was not perfection. So he was just mean to him. He basically didn't deal with him at all. And that's where Lady Danbury comes in. Lady Danbury is a black woman who she's like a major socialite, okay? She's the one who could actually rub shoulders. She rubs shoulders with the queen, basically. I'm gonna talk about the queen in a minute, but Lady Danbury is everything. Do you understand? She's everything. She's the other one person that can move shit. She can move shit along and kind of maneuver stuff. Is Lady Danbury, okay? So we got her. Then we got who? The queen. Let me go ahead on and put it down with the queen, child. The queen is a whole wretched ass mess. She's shady. She is shady. Do you hear me? She's black. She's a black woman. Shady as can be. And I was like living because like the queen would come through. She'd be wearing push waves and afros, and she'd be turning it. She'd be turning it. But she is a hot mess. Hot mess. She likes the drama. And of course she wants her way. And she a cokehead. Get into that. She's a whole cokehead. Would you say you out, D? All right, baby. She's a whole cokehead. You see, I like the queen when they show the soft side of her when the king shows up. Yeah, and in her life, the king, he actually has Alzheimer's. He's suffering with Alzheimer's. So that's like her whole, you know, naturally the people don't get to see what she goes through because she's a queen. She can't be showing that. But yeah, her husband he has Alzheimer's and he's like pretty bad into it. Okay, so let me go back at that. And I said Lady Whistledown is the one that blows the whistle on everything. She prints up all the salaciousness. She got all the dirt on everybody and she prints it up and they deliver it out. And she makes a little money on the side from it as well. But it's just a rag sheet. She is the Inquirer. And she be letting everybody have it. letting them have it. And yes, the best things in the show is the costuming, the the etiquette that they're showing, just the whole period piece of it all. Um, I love all of that. Love all of that. So that's that. And then the scandal, like I said, it's like a Peyton Place shot in the 1800s. So let me go back to these Bridgertons. Daphne. Dad, this is Daphne's season. The whole first season is about Daphne's season of actually coming in and then trying to marry her off. And when she comes down to be seen by the queen fancies her and names her as the diamond for the season. So it's basically all eyes on Daphne. And she is cute. She's cute. And then Daphne got a sister, which is Eloise. Eloise is the opposite. She literally is the opposite of Daphne. She don't give a damn about none of these dresses. She don't care about none of that. She's smart. She wants to go off to uni. She would like to go off to university and do studies. She likes to write and she loves to read and that kind of thing. She just has no interest in any of that. She's best friends with Penelope Featherton, which is like the black sheep of the Featherton clan. And the mother, it's real shady how they do her over there at the Feathertons. They always dress her up in yellow. And the thing is, she big, she's heavy. So she puts her in these bright yellow dresses all the time and bright pink dresses. And her sisters get to wear like what are supposedly nicer dresses. But when you really get down to it, Penelope always looks better than her sisters. She always looks better than her sisters. Yeah. And she just a whole mess. Whole mess. So, like I said, the Duke and Anthony are friends. They're both whores, both of them. They just are scoundrels. They just do everything that they do, and they know each other, and inside and out, they know each other. And what ends up happening, the Duke has no interest at all in being married, ever. He has no interest in being married. He definitely wants no kids at all, because we end up seeing him telling his father on his deathbed, because after, he worked through, Lady Danbury worked him through his speech impediment and all that, and he used to write letters when he was away to his dad to tell him about his progress. And when he would get to his dad, he would get nervous and the stutter would come, and the father was just mean. I mean, he would just say the meanest stuff. He told that daddy on his deathbed, because he got it all together now. Like, he's sharp. He got everything together. He's total package. Told his dad, he's like, you take my name onto the legacy. He said, your name is going to die with me. There will be no children. There will be no nothing. There'll be no more dukes. When I'm done, it's done. And that was it. So he declared that to that dad on the dying bed, and he meant it. So long story short, we get into this whole thing where there's this real terrible scoundrel. He's horrible. He is so horrible and old and tired and trifling guy who wants Daphne. And like every time she sees him, she just like cringes. And there really was nothing that could stop him from getting her other than another proposal. And goofy ass Anthony then went ahead and promised her hand off to him, because the mother is always pushing him about when is he going to get married, because he ain't doing nothing. So he's like, I got to do what I got to do. So he's trying to impress by going ahead and getting Daphne married off and trying to do it real easy. Gonna give her to this old nasty piece of trash. And horrible, just horrible. They were at one of these balls, and the guy got real ugly and was like getting real rapey with Daphne. And that's when the Duke, because the Duke had they kept exchanging eyes and stuff, and then that was weird. But anyway, he went out there and saved her from him, and they had that little thing go on. And so everything is real tight. Like, it's the whole point that she was out there in the gardens and he was out there in the gardens. It could actually ruin her reputation altogether. And then there's another family member from another family It's like there's like three sisters over there. They're mean girl. I don't think they're sisters, but there's three girls. They're mean girls, and the one girl, the main girl, she saw them out there. She had the secret. She knew that they were out there in the garden and all that. So we had to deal with all of that stuff. So what they came up with was that Daphne and the Duke, Simon, they would actually get together and they pretended that they were actually digging each other. So that would be able to stop his little thing. What's going on? I'm silent. So that would be able to stop it. Cressida, yeah, she's horrible. Cressida, that was her name, Cressida. She's horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. With her ugly hairstyles. Like, what was that? Horrible. But they were basically running a coup the whole time. And then the guy came, and then he's like going to press it, you know, and threatened to really do it. And when they actually was out in the garden at one time, she ended up punching him and like flattening him out and blacking his eye. Daphne did. She busted him up. And the thing was, her and the Duke actually didn't like each other at all. They kept eyeballing each other, but they didn't like each other. When they actually started talking, they were basically arguing with each other all the time. But they, you know, put the little thing on, and you know the story, child. They ended up actually falling in love with each other. And it just happened slowly, and it was real, real cute and all of that. Now, dig this. The mother ain't told Daphne nothing. Daphne knows absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. He ends up telling her this one night about touching herself, child, because she's asking like, well, what is this stuff like once you marry, like what is the whole thing about men and women and why they, you know, get the feeling, how they feeling about each other. He told her something about, you know, do you touch yourself or whatever? She like, no, like what are you talking about? So he didn't explain to her about masturbating, child. She went home that night, honey, and got the plan in her cat, honey, and thinking about him, and baby, she seen lights, action, you know. So, you know, she was all in at that point. All in. Anyway, we go on, we go on, we go on. They ended up really making this connection. This is when Cressida actually seen them out in the garden. Honey, they was getting ready to get down. He kissed her, and that was it. So, you know, that would literally ruin her whole reputation and the reputation of the family and all of that. So that was the thing. It was like, okay, you got to marry her. He said, I'm not marrying her. Like, I'm not doing that. So it ended up being this whole thing between, because Anthony punched the Duke out, honey. He told him, you done defiled my sister, punched him out. Then told him, you're going to marry her. He's like, no, I ain't marrying her. Yeah, I kissed her and all that stuff, but I ain't marrying her. So he's like, well, we're going to have to do it like men. You got to do a duel. And I'm going to kill you. Either I'm going to kill you or you will kill me. They had that whole thing go on. That got on my nerves. But they went out there and did that. And it was so funny because Anthony was falling in love with her too. He literally, when they went and did the duel and old boy went to shoot at him, he wouldn't even shoot back at Anthony. He pointed his gun up in the air. And Anthony's just a badass shot. He's a bad shot and missed anyway. But she had ran out there with the other brother, with the youngest brother named Colin. They had ran all the way out there to where they were having the duel, and they were like, they stopped it. They got to stop it all. And that's what she said, you know what, it wouldn't just end here, because Cressida actually knew the secret. She knew they were out in the garden. She seen it. So them killing each other is not going to change anything. She would still be ruined, that there was no other way to get around it. He has to marry her, period. And he, you know, she just never could understand why, because he went ahead with the, okay, I'm going to marry her, but we can't have no kids thing. So she just never really knew, like, why he didn't want to marry, why he didn't want the kids. And she ends up finding it out after living in the house, you know, once they got married and everything. Because they had a whole nother thing, because there was a nephew of the queen that came, and the queen tried to throw a monkey wrench in it so she could marry the nephew. And then that actually was going really, really well, because they had kind of like broke up there for a minute, and she really did fall for the nephew, who was actually a prince, and that would have been perfect. But you know, child, love always prevails, honey, and got in the middle of that, honey, and so she ended up with who she was supposed to be with. And once she got married, she went out there, and of course, with working in the house and being in the house, she ended up figuring everything out. She ends up figuring everything out. But now here, we ain't going through all that. Y'all got to go watch the series for all that. But that's the lowdown of what was really going on. So with the families and how the Duke is actually in that. And then there's another family as well. It's a black family who is actually friends with the Duke, and I'll talk about them later. It's just a husband, wife, and they got a couple of kids. He runs like a boxing gym and all of that. He gets tied up in some mess, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. Let me go back to some of these other family members, child. This is some of the scandal. So we got all that stuff going on. Here's some more scandal. So here's the scandal. You got the middle brother, child. The middle brother, I was like, I don't know what's going on with him. He really wanted to be an artist, but he didn't want to like dive all into it. And then he ends up meeting this other guy who is Lord somebody or other. He goes down to his house and finds out like he does like art parties and stuff. It's like a underground situation. I said, Child, when we get down to the end of that, baby, he is gay, honey. He's gay. He's in love with Lord so-and-so that we always see. You see him all the time at the balls, and you see them exchanging looks. Child, they're a couple. They're a couple. And the first time that Benedict, that's the middle brother, his name is Benedict. The first time that Benedict goes down there to the house, he just goes and they paint and he sees the people and they're just comfortable. Next time he come back, baby, it's a full-on swinger party. He walked in the room and seen the Lord guy that's the artist, seeing him and the other Lord, baby, getting down. And then he ends up taking and getting down with two women and finds out later that one of the women was the artist's wife. So, child, it's just a whole big mess there. So, like I said, it's full of salaciousness and mess. Sienna, the opera singer, there's always some back and forth with her and Anthony. It's like a push and pull, push and pull, push and pull. She is who she is. She's never going to fit into the social scene. They'll never accept her. And he, you know, of course, he's all starry-eyed and stupid. And he's like, oh, I want you to come with me to the ball. She's like, I ain't going to the ball with you, child. I got a date upstairs, honey. Whole big old mess. And I think I told you already that Lady Whistledown is narrating, and who is actually playing that Lady Whistledown part is Julie Andrews. So I was like, all here for that. Now, all while we're doing this, we're trying to figure out who the hell is Lady Whistledown. Nobody knows. We don't know. I figured it out before we got to the end of it, of season 1, but they threw me a curveball because I was thinking that it was Madam Genevieve, Miss Delacroix, honey. I thought she was Lady Whistledown, so that was really a good spin. But we found out later, like I said, there'd be spoilers. It ain't her. It's not her at all. So it went back to who I thought it was in the beginning, and I was completely correct. Anyway. Let me see, where am I at? Marina. Let's talk about Marina. So Marina is just as vicious, child, as Lady Featherton. Marina's the little pregnant chick. She was dealing with a soldier, and there's a whole lot of mess with that. Where the soldier, she was writing letters to him, he was writing letters to her. Lady Featherton was blocking the letters, child. And there was like a few letters. She kind of like blocked that, and just a mess. Told her, you know, just forget about him. He ain't coming back for her. He don't love her and all this stuff. They literally copied signatures and all this bullshit. And Penelope, against her mother's wishes, made friends with Marina. Now, here's the twist. At that point, once she started to believe that her actual person she's pregnant by don't want her, and she's like 3 months pregnant, now she got to come up with a scheme to marry somebody, have somebody marry her and take her on up out of there and scheme them, you know, and go on. Just take the chance on it. She sets her sights on Colin Bridgerton. Only problem with that is Penelope is in love with Colin Bridgerton. So she like, you know, that was a whole mess. So y'all have to watch it because you'll see all of that. We run through that whole thing of how she actually comes and tells him, comes and tells him, listen, she got a whole nother man. She didn't tell him about the baby, but told him she got a whole nother man because he ended up proposing to her and stuff, and they was getting ready to run off and all this shit. Told him, she got a whole nother man. She playing you, and this, that, thing, and the other. And he kind of like just shot her down, like, listen, it is what it is. My heart tells me what it is, and all of that. She was like crushed. Then her and Marina get into a little conversation. Honey, Marina told her, baby, he don't pay you no attention. And I'm sorry to have to tell you, and it hurts your feelings. But girl, it is what it is. It's about me and my baby, honey. I got to do what's right for me. And you need to sit down because he ain't paying you no attention no way. I said, oh, nah, okay. All right. So, of course, the scandal got out anyway because it ends up getting written in the rag sheet, honey. And it come out right before they get ready to run off. Everything's blown out of the water. So, now their family is literally shamed. The whole family ends up getting shamed. Right in the midst of that, they find out one of the Featherton daughters had actually, somebody wanted to marry her. She ain't got no dowry because the father done gambled it up. I said, Lord have mercy. He done gambled up her dowry, so that stopped her engagement. So it was just a whole lot of mess going on, child. So they stopped being invited to stuff and all of this kind of carrying on. And that was that. Let me see. What else happened? Marina tried to kill herself. Well, she didn't really try to kill herself. She tried to kill the baby. She mixed up all these teas and stuff, called herself making a potion. Thought she'd have killed the baby, child. She drank that stuff down, tried to kill the baby, and ended up falling out and carrying on. And that was a whole big mess. By this time, when the scandal happened with Colin, our girl comes back. Daphne comes back because now she is a duchess. She done married the Duke, and she's a duchess. So she comes back. She ends up sitting in as a chaperone on a meeting, the last meeting between Colin and Marina. And she's sitting there seeing what's going on, and it kind of hit her in her spot. And she started feeling sorry for Marina. And I'll go back in a minute and tell y'all why it hit her in her spot. But she goes over and she tells Marina, listen, okay, I want to talk to you. So Marina told her whole story. She said, no problem. I could do a little bit more than what you think I can do. I'm going to try to get in touch with your guy. And I will, and hopefully he'll come back. I can be able to get him to come back and take care of you, take care of you and your baby. Now, she ain't said that she lost the baby. She ain't said nothing. People still thinking she's still with child because, again, the Feathertons is over there holding secrets. She goes ahead on, and then she tells her, she said, did you get the Duke to sign the letter that you sent requesting him, requesting the service to look him up? And then she tells her, if you ain't have the Duke sign it, ain't nothing going to happen. Girl, you are a woman, honey. You're a woman, and they're not going to, nobody's listening to you, honey. Well, that was a lie because somebody did listen. And what ended up coming back was the guy's brother. The guy actually died in battle, and he actually did have letters. There was a letter that was halfway written that they had, so that's how they knew she existed. And the guy was still talking about coming back to get her and take care of her and all that. So the brother said, well, I want to step up to the plate and do what my brother would want done, and I want to take your hand in marriage and take care of you. She goes ahead and she denies him. She says, no, I don't love you, I don't know you, and no, I'm not going to do it. And the thing is, because she just was like, she went through so much up to that point, she's like, all these lies, and I'm just not doing it anymore. And that's what she told, because Lady Featherton, by this time, we done found out her husband and his bullshit. They needed somebody to hook them up with some money. Because again, people take care of the whole family. Like, say, surely he'll take care of some distant cousins as well. Child, so she told him, no, that's okay. I don't want to do it. Go away. So once he leaves, because he had money, once he leaves, That's when she tells the Lady Featherton, I'm not doing that. I'm not scamming him. I'm not even with child anymore. So how am I going to explain? I'm not doing that. That's just misery, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do wrong no more. So a little bit after that, they're fortunate. They ain't got no money. They trying to go to a ball, child, and because in the midst of all of that, they're talking about forgiveness and all that. The Duchess, Daphne, tells them they can come to this ball where they had been invited to the ball. The Daphne was like, I would prefer that y'all come to the ball. You don't like this old mean shit. She's the Duchess, right? So now she getting a little taste of her power. Tell them they can come. Girl, they can't get no dress, honey, because they ain't got no money, honey. They ain't got no money. This was one of the funny things when they go down to, because they went down to our girl, Miss Madam Genevieve, honey. They going down there to her, tell her girl, oh no, the money. She gonna say, no, honey. You ain't been paying your bills, honey. You owe me money, and girl, I ain't sewing shit until you pay your bill, honey. So she was, giving it to her, honey. Didn't girlfriend, old Miss what's her face, Marina jumps in there and tells Madam Genevieve, honey, she started talking with her, honey, and her little accent, and it's because it's like broken French, honey, and she basically let her know. She said, girl, I know your whole story. I know everything about you and what you got going on, honey. You ain't proper. Girl, you Creole. Baby, you not French. You're Creole. And I'll dish your team's thing, and then you won't be a part of the social scene either, honey. So you gonna give up that credit, or I'm gonna give up your tea? And so she's like, oh, well, okay. Thanks, Julia. She says, yeah, okay. So they end up getting their dresses and stuff. I said, oh, a mess. That's what I told you. Marina was really a formidable opponent for Lady Featherton if she wanted to get some trouble started here. Anyway. So that was that on that. The father goes to the guy. Remember I told you I would go back to the black family who was friends with the Duke. He does these matches, these boxing matches, and that's how he makes money. Lord Featherton came to him and basically propositioned him about throwing his fight. Throwing the fight, and then he would bet sideways against it, and they would make all this money. He would make enough money to get himself out of whatever his situation was, plus he would have enough money to take care of his family from then on. Wouldn't even have to fight no more if he didn't want to. So he ended up, first he wasn't going to do it, but then he agreed to do it. He throws the fight, okay, and they win all the money, get all this money, comes home, tells him, this is like the night of that last ball. That last ball, comes back there. He tells the wife, we got the money and everything gets paid for. They go pay off the bill, get new dresses for that ball, and ends up, he don't show up at the ball. He down to the whore joint and all that. He done went on down there with the money and stuff, gambling and spending money up on whores, and gets set up by the people that he was doing the bad bet with, and he paid for that with his life, child. And when Mrs. Featherton, she didn't care nothing about him, child. I mean, I guess after years and years, she probably did kind of like him a little bit, but she really didn't care for him. He didn't care for her all like that. Some arranged marriage crap. But when she went in there and looked, honey, she went directly to where the satchel where the money was. Honey, it was empty. It was empty. So now they were right back where they started, honey. No money. He gone. Shamed, honey. Scandal wrapped around the family. The one daughter, her dowry was paid off, so she was going to go ahead and get married off. But that other little ugly, she wasn't going nowhere. And the little chunky chick, she ain't going nowhere. I said, oh, Lord have mercy. But that's what we found out. The little chunky chick is actually Lady Whistledown. So she's making money, but they don't know it. So she'll be fine, and she'll be able to help the family. But that's a big one, y'all, that you found out at the end. So, like I said, I told y'all there would be spoilers. Anyway, moving on. So let me go back here real fast and get to what really went on between the Duke and old girl. This was one of the major things. So naturally, we get to see him basically teach her everything that there is about sex. Baby, it was hot. It was hot. It was sexy. It was everything. It was everything. It was like, okay, I mean, that's cool, child, because the first thing he did was he had told her how to please herself with her fingers, but he didn't tell her that when he turned his fingers on her, baby, I'm gonna really blow your hair back and split your wig, honey. So, honey, he went and gave her some old, honey, took her down to the dark arts, honey. And baby, he was tearing her little cuckoo up, honey. Okay. But what he kept doing, he was like doing this little pull-out game with her, because again, he want to get her pregnant. She don't know, so she don't know that he's actually disrespecting her. And it's like, the few times they did it, like they were outside. They were, I mean, he was really showing her, they was having fun on their honeymoon when they first went back to, well, look at this bitch running down the street. Look at the deer running down the street. Just deer. You see him? Y'all see him? It's always something going on when I come out here on and go live, child. Deer running down the street in the middle of the day. In the middle of the day. Anyway, living in peace in the nature, honey. All right, so he was showing her everything. Making love in the rain. It was cute. They're like one of their best little scenes, and I'll tell you how that goes, honey. They had this little sex scene out in the rain, very, very sexy. The first time he gave it to her real good out in the rain, honey. And they ran up on the they had they got all kind of shit on the lands, honey. But he took her up in this gazebo, baby, and gave it to her real good, honey, while it was raining. But again, each time he's pulling out, shooting on the floor, shooting on the bed, and it was real tacky. The one time he did it, when it really caught her attention, what he was actually doing. Because remember, she don't even really know how babies are made. She don't know. She really is stupid, don't know. Because mama ain't told her nothing. He was doing it to her child in the office. And of course, he ain't going to, he didn't want to get it on the desk, on the work. He just grabbed this tissue and shot it in the tissue and threw the tissue on the. I was like, that was real trifling. Like, that was real. That felt very. It felt very like you ain't good enough for this. You can't have this. And he was throwing it to the side. And then she, talked to her people that take care of her in the house. And the one lady, she had got close to the one that does her hair and stuff. And she had told her what that little spray he's spraying is about. And she was feeling some kind of way, honey. So that's kind of started breaking down. They had gotten bad to the point where they was really getting ready to break up. Like that was their whole thing. Like, we're going to do this season when we go back to London, and I take care of this scandal for my brother. But once we're there, the last dance is the last dance. I'm done with you. We just married. We just gonna be married, and that's it. And then in the midst of all that, she ended up talking to Lady Danbury, because she found the letters from when she's a little boy, when he was a little boy, and all that. She got the rest of the story, but she still needed to work through how angry she was and how he basically act like, you ain't good enough for my cum. You just can't have it. I don't care. Because he had her believing that he can't make kids. And what she did was, when she found out the whole story, he made her give it to her, honey. She made him shoot up the club, because no matter what, women always are in control. And she's fast learner. Fast learner. She went in there, baby. He always be mounting her and get up on her, honey, and then jump up off of her. She said, okay, I got you, baby. She jumped up on top of him, baby, and rode him down, honey. And he couldn't do nothing but be there, honey. She gave it to him real good. So it wasn't no option, baby. You shooting up the club tonight. And when she did that, he going to ask her, why did you do that? Shut up. Just shut up, honey. And that's when the argument started. And it got to be a whole thing like, you don't trust me and I don't trust you. And it was ugly. It was definitely something to be able to break up about. But anyway, so they go back, get all that together. Everything happened that we've been talking about here. And then there's this very last dance. They're doing their last dance, right? She had this conversation. It's real heart to heart with her mother. And her mother told her, she said, I just wanted to have love like you and my dad, you know? And she said, that's because we chose to love each other. We chose to love each other every day, period. No matter what we went through, we chose that we was going to love each other every day, all the way to the end. And it can be done, you know, don't be giving up on it. So he had his he had a talk with his friend, that's the boxer guy, and he told him, you mad with me, because he was in there jumping on him about some bull crap. He gonna tell him, you're mad with me, but you're not really mad at me. You mad at something else because your life is a mess. You need to get your life together and quit playing games. So he had his little thing going on. She had her little thing going on. They were doing their last and final dance. They had this little eye contact that they always had, and it was every time he touched her skin, baby, it's on. They was dancing, and then it started raining. Everybody ran out, and he was like trying to get her, you know, to leave the open area and go. And she said, she grabbed her hand and said no, and they stayed out there in the rain. It was so pretty, and it was so sexy, and it was so heartfelt when they were standing in that rain. It was like the court sort of like symbolized, like, I don't know, it just was, it was real symbolic of the love between her mother and her father, and how like, just like her mother kept telling her, you just got to let it just roll off, you know what I mean? And she stood there in the rain. Now keep in mind, she's the Duchess, and it was her ball. She gave the ball, and everybody else that ran to keep from getting wet, and she stood out there in the rain, baby, because she's that girl. Got totally wet, hair fell all the way down, her and her husband, honey. And um Lady Danbury told everybody, go home, it's time to go home. And you could see that the connection was back, honey. The connection was there, and that's what she said, honey, listen, this is it. We're gonna do what we're gonna do. We're going on from there, child. They end up going home, baby, and they were fine, honey. They done made a baby. When we end out the first season, she's delivering, and it's a little boy. And she said, do you want to hold him? He's like, yeah. Gives him the baby, and said, what do you want to do? um we want to name them. And he said, it has to be a name that starts with A, because we're making new traditions, and we're going to start from the beginning, baby. And he said they're going to name the baby something that starts with an A. And that's where the first season ended out at. And it was really, really nice. Oh, last thing, Marina. Marina was walking down the hallway, and she thought she didn't got rid of the baby child, and the baby done kicked. And she dropped this plate and spilled it. They called the doctor. Doctor come out and laughed at her and said, oh, you thought some tea was going to get rid of your problem? Not so much, honey. They ended up writing letters, and they did get the guy who was the guy who she's pregnant by, to get the brother, which is the uncle, to actually come. He actually did come back, and she accepted the proposal. And so he gonna make an honest woman out of her, and she going on. And that's gonna be that. Well, she ain't honest, but you know, she's gonna be okay. So in the midst of her being okay, um, and the husband leaving, but him being dead, the house done gone to somebody else down the line in the family. They done sent a whole new um Featherton, a whole new Featherton person that's underneath him to the house. They didn't throw them out, but they're not involved. They're not involved, and that's rolling into season 2. But he's going to come, and I was like, how is that going to work? But they won't throw them out, so they'll be okay. But they ain't an elite group. They've been pretty much shamed. You know, they've been pretty much shamed. Don't nobody want them daughters. They got too much shit around them at that point. But anyway, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all. There's everything ain't in there, because remember, I've gone through like 8-9 episodes with y'all in this 40 minutes. I'm just saying this. I don't know what took me so long, because I kept hearing people talking about this series. And I should have jumped on it way back when, because it is everything that I like. I like all this old kind of stuff. I really do. I love period pieces. I love fabulous glamour. I love the salaciousness, honey, and all of the backbiting and the cutting and the scratching and all, you know, all of this. Everything about this kept me like this. Woo. The whole time. It never got dull. It never got long. Nothing like that. It is fabulous. It's Shonda, honey. It's done by Shonda Lamb. It's Shonda Rhimes, honey. So it is very much good. And this is the thing. As you're watching, there are a lot of current songs that they are actually playing and they're putting that whole 1800s vibe onto it. And I kept, because the first time they did it, I was sitting there listening to the song, and I'm like, I know this song, but what song is this? Because it's like a lot of strings and all that. I was like, what is this? Child, it's Old Girl. It's Thank You, Next. What's her name with the ponies, with the high ponytail? Ariana. It's Ariana Grande. The music is good. Like, I love it. And there's a couple other songs that are actually mixed up in there where they've done like classical versions of these songs that are popular that we know, that are like R&B and pop. So really, really thought out really well. It's really thought out really well. It's good. You all need to go watch it. And I've already begun watching season 2. That's why I stopped, so I could come. So I didn't want to confuse too much stuff and then be talking about stuff that happened in season 2. So it is what it is. But that's all I got to say for right now about season 1 of Bridgerton. Y'all need to go watch it. It's on Netflix. I enjoyed it. Anyway, listen, I'm getting up out of here. And I will talk to y'all later. Bye.